I'm Dan, I'm your moderator for this evening, and I've been working in magazines since the heady days of the late 90s. Don't worry, you're not getting my life story. And I am here primarily tonight because I am the co-founder and editor of Senet magazine, which is an independent, print-only, quarterly magazine about board games. And we launched it in 2020. And as you can see from these covers behind, we kind of lean into the sort of the art side of the equation rather than the commercial side. So we are primarily subscriber focused, but we do sell on the newsstand. We're in Smith's and we're in Waterstones, Barnes and Noble. But yeah, we're not big on cover lines, but we're very big on aesthetic impact, let's say. So that's me. But you really want to be hearing from these guys. So I am going to introduce them now. So first of all, we have Bryan Mayes, the Global Design Director of Time Out London. Serlina Boyd, the Publisher and CEO of Coca Girl. You also design the magazine, don't you? We should point that out. Yeah. Sonny Dhamu, the Group Art Director of Inside Housing. Holly Catford, the Art Director of Pitt Magazine. Jaime Lee, the UK Art Director of Cosmopolitan, and last but never least, Chris Lupton, Creative Director of Empire magazine. Cool. Cheers, guys. Thanks so much for being here tonight. All right. So we are going to start. I'm going to ask a question for each of you, basically. So we're going to go down the line, really, and I want to hear your perspectives on this, because the most important person in any sort of cover design really is the reader, I would say, the person who it is for. So that's what I want to talk about, who your covers are for and what it is that you do differently to reach that reader. So Bryan, you're first up. Who are your covers for?
Okay. I'm just holding the mic here, by the way, not to look cool, but it was sort of having some sort of reaction with yours, so sorry. But yeah, our covers are mainly for our social audience. Since going digital only, and we got rid of the print magazine a couple of years ago, it is exclusively really for Instagram and a social only sort of audience. And so what we've had to do there is rethink what will stop someone mid-scroll in terms of and we found that certain things that would just be something that we would love to just pat ourselves on the back and go, what a brilliant cover that was when we did a print cover, and it would be something you could win an award for, or definitely get a huge acclaim for from amongst your colleagues and your peers and stuff like that. It's just something that you Joe average person on Instagram just doesn't particularly care about or engage with, and you've got to sort of do something that's going to stop them, and perhaps try and get something that will have something in it for them. Do you know what I mean? So trying to extend the cover so it's not just a cover slide, but it's a cover that sort of leads towards some sort of almost like a little mini magazine, like a little preview of what they're going to click through to, so whether that's quotes or savable type stuff and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if I've elaborated too much or not enough.
No, that's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, from your perspective, I mean, was that steep learning curve, for you in terms of having to pivot in that way quite quickly, really?
Yeah, I think it was, and I think we never used to do that many celebrity covers really for the print thing, mainly because of budget and. Time Out covers all sorts of stuff. We're not just known for doing celebrity interviews. But what we have sort of noticed is that if you put a celebrity on there and you do the collab post, where it goes on their Instagram, on your Instagram, you piggyback onto their audience and vice versa. So we do more of those, and that was more of a kind of right, I have to start doing more of these. And then if you're going to do something like Best Pubs or something like that, you just think, okay, well, we'll get this guy to present it, or this person to to be the face of Best Burgers, or so we still try and do some of the same content, but we just sort of have to use a recognisable face, either from who's a celebrity or someone who's quite well known or has got a very engaged audience. And one of the harsh lessons I've sort of learned is that I remember I did one cover at the start of last year, which was about our cheap issue. and it was a piggy bank, and then and I sort of thought, well, I'll have it, but the headline was upside down. So if you turn your phone upside down, then the coins fell out, and I was a bit like, that's clever, isn't it? Isn't that clever? And I'd go around the office before and was like, yeah, what do you think, and someone would just go, I don't get it, and then the coins would sort of come out of the top, and then one person turned it, and I was like, see, it works, and then we put it on Instagram, and it like totally died on its arse, and like no one. And I was like, that's really clever, and I've done something really clever here,
It was too clever.
It was too clever. But I think the thing is, like with social and stuff like that, anything that can be like really tracked and monitored is a good thing. But also, like, there was something like really lovely about just the bliss of ignorance of like a print cover, where you could just go, that was, you didn't really know, you couldn't put a tangible number on how many people actually did engage with it or thought it was good. You just sent it to the printers and said that looked bloody excellent, didn't it? And then move on to the next one. But you always keep trying to do things like that and try and do stuff that could only work on a social cover and not on a print cover, And I still believe that was a good idea. It's just sort of like maybe it wasn't executed in exactly the right way, or maybe I'll try it again next year. I don't know.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, Serlina, same question for you now then, please. So who are your covers for?
I think firstly, my covers were for my daughter. I started the magazine because of her. She had very low self-esteem, and she just didn't like who she was. She said, I want frozen girl hair, mummy, and I want to be this and that, and there's nothing wrong with her wanting frozen girl hair, but I wanted her to love herself as well. And so doing the magazine and putting her on my first cover, which was meant to be a project, I wouldn't have put her on the cover. And just seeing little girls posting this cover and saying, she looks like me, because they had never seen a cover like that before. And then there were people from my community that were saying, I needed this when I was younger. So it changes. Firstly, it was for my daughter, and then for the wider community that was like, I needed to see this. It's the cover that I never thought I'd ever see. And just reaching an untapped audience that, just never saw themselves. And then I'd say it would be for people in leadership roles that have always been targeted by the media. So, for instance, we gave the Right Honourable Diane Abbott her first cover, and that was just a decision I just made. I was like, she's getting too much abuse, let's put her on the cover. And it went viral, and she contacted me and she was like, I'm going to give you an interview. So, I'd say the first person was my daughter, and it's just growing this community of people that love the covers and love seeing themselves for the first time.
Amazing. And so how has it changed for you in terms of the perception of the audience? It's been, when did you launch? You said in lockdown?
I launched during lockdown.
Yeah.
And it's changed because I guess people get excited when we put out a new cover. People use our cover as artwork on their walls. But also it gets the attentions of like celebrities in America, like Jada Pinkett's team contacted me and was like, I want to go on your cover. Or Viola Davis is like, I'm launching you in the US because I needed this magazine. So in the US they don't even have something like this. So there's a growing community, and then it's the allies that are like Serlina, and it's the people that don't look like me that take me on a bigger level and are like, we love this, to go into the V&A museum, the children's one, and see my cover in there forever and my daughter's in there forever. It's just insane. And her quote is on the wall, you can be what you want to be, love who you are. So and I'm getting emotional because I'm seeing Naomi Lowe here, and she gave me my first ever proper job at IPC Media, and she's amazing. I used to watch you really like trying to get the covers ready because we worked on Woman Magazine a weekly, so yeah, so thank you.
Of course not. Sonny, hey, so different kind of story from you, totally different kind of magazine as well. Tell us, who are your covers for?
So with any business to business, it'll be for a sector. Our sector is housing. Primarily, it's housing associations, local authorities. They're the people who are kind of getting our magazines. We're obviously trying to branch out, find new people. I think that's kind of more of a ongoing journey, one for the editor to maybe work out. But historically, we've been around for 40 years. We celebrated 40 years this year, and it was kind of just a magazine for just kind of housing news. Business was always for jobs, basically. That's where you went if you wanted to work in a sector. You kind of got that magazine, you looked in there. Obviously, that's changed to digital. But over the years, it's changed loads. And I would say, sort of, in the time I've been there, more and more focus has been on campaigning. So that's kind of what we're really doing. Sadly, one of the biggest things to hit was the Grenfell fire, which kind of, for me, for the journalists at the magazine, really kind of got us on the map, I think. There was a fire before the Grenfell fire, Lacknell House, which was in 2009, where 6 people died, but I don't think it got the coverage that the Grenfell fire got. There were kind of campaigning happening then, but obviously it was just kind of just almost ignored. This was just at the forefront. So in 2017 we started our work on the Grenfell fire. One of our journalists, who's kind of part-time now, don't even know if he's still there, Peter Rapps, who's written a book. Some of you may have seen the book, and I can't even remember the name of the book. You won't like me. Yeah, he's kind of almost the expert. He just, he knows everything there is to know about the Grenfell fire. So one of the first covers I did was called Never Again, which was actually when we was a weekly. We used to have a newsy cover, but every so often we used to splash with a full bleed, and that was a full bleed. There was a start of our campaign called Never Again. That kind of led onto the stuff we did. It went on for quite a few years. And actually, the inquiry's just finished. I'm not sure if anyone's been paying attention to it. And this is kind of the cover on the left here is the current issue. It's a painting by a Grenfell survivor, Gina Smith. Yeah, and I came across it in the media, and I thought that's just a beautiful image. It kind of depicts everything we've been doing. It's almost like a nice sign off for the stuff we've been doing. So I just thought I want to get hold of that. And then Pete, who's he knows Grenfell United, he knows the people that he needs to speak to. He got in touch, and initially they were like, "Oh, we're not interested," but they didn't realise actually it's not interview with the person. It's just want to show off your artwork, because she was a survivor. Yeah. So managed to get that, which was I was just really proud of, and put it on the cover. So that's the most current one. Yeah. And that's, as I say, it's kind of our sign off for the Grenfell work, because the inquiry is over. So we've kind of done as much as we can with that, but we'll carry on campaigning. So we do a lot of newsy stuff. The other thing that's really hitting quite big is getting national coverage as well. ITV are covering a lot of it, is the disrepair stuff, mould, for example. And if you look at the cover on the left, that was a young lad by the name of Awab, who was 2 years old, who died sadly in social housing because of mould related issues. So more and more that is what we've been doing now, is covering that, just trying to get that sort of into the open. I think people will come to us because we do such in-depth research, that they will come to us, and I hope that what I'm creating is kind of getting out there, it's being noticed, and people going, oh, okay, Inside Housing is creating these, really powerful covers. For me, I grew up in social housing myself, and I think, well, if that was me, how would I want it portrayed? So it's very much like, what would I want to see? Not just kind of let's put that on the cover. I just want it to portray emotion, just really speak for the people that matter, that are involved. So we've been doing a lot on the AWAB stuff as well. But it's not all sort of real horrific news. We do have the stuff that all trade magazines will have, which is like, for example, the biggest builders, which is kind of, it's almost like the Sunday Times of, you know, of sort of rich list kind of thing, you know.
Right, okay.
You know, so it's like a listicle. So this is where I can have a lot of fun, is like, you know, how do we kind of make that accessible? How do we make something that could be quite boring to other audiences, interesting to our audience, you know, interesting, again, grab attention. So this is, this is kind of, the part of the job is just making something fun. How do you do that? You know, illustrate it. What way would you do that? This one's actually got a little animation, which is, it's not brilliant. It just goes up and down. Yeah, I mean that's as far as it goes, but you know. But it's something we're doing a lot more, thinking of doing a lot more, is actually getting stuff animated, because our social outlet is LinkedIn. That's where we're finding it's working for us. That's where the audience is is basically working for us. So, and we're finding when we're doing this sort of stuff, to date we've done 4 this year. We're doing 1 this month as well, because we're doing a salary survey, which is actually like the rich list. Quite gossipy, you know, who earns what, and we're finding that the animations are working. They're getting a lot of impressions. That, you know, that's getting people to it. So it's not just a static image, which I think, to be honest, if you're looking on the phone, you want to see something moving, you know. So we're experimenting more and more with that. Obviously, there's budget issues with that, so it's something we need to think about. And how do we start doing more of it? But we're finding it, you know, it's actually working really well, and it's fun to direct it as well. I'm not one creating them. Sadly, my skills don't stretch that far yet. But you know, finding that a lot more illustrators are actually not just illustrating, but they're doing the animation as well, which is really good. So it's a case of trying to find someone who can do that as well as just the animation, just the static image. So yeah, I think I've gone on probably longer than I should have done. But hopefully that's a little insight into what we create, what I create. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Sonny. Thank you. Okay, well, Holly, hello. Who of Pit Magazine's covers for?
The sausage dog's looking a bit crappy. They're purely for us. I'm one of the founders, and I run it with 2 of my best friends. Helen, who's the editor, and Rob, who's the kind of king of photography. And we purely just do whatever makes us laugh, and because we don't get paid, so we just do really ridiculous things. And to be honest, the more we love it, the better it tends to do. So it's a pretty safe format.
Right. So basically your audience is you.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So just so we're clear, so Pit is about
food.
Barbecue specifically?
We started off as a barbecue magazine,
right.
But ever since we did the sausage special,
right.
We decided that we didn't really like barbecue that much, and so it's now a general food magazine, which we are desperately trying to remind people of, but everyone thinks we're a barbecue magazine still.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, and so aside from that kind of expansion of the subject matter, but have you noticed a kind of a change in the readership and in the kind of people that are responding?
I meant more and more people are responding. I think that's the thing, is our covers are kind of, they set you up for what you're going to get in the magazine, which is a pretty silly magazine. What we always say is it's that kind of Tina Brown, highbrow, lowbrow thing, but for food. That's the way me and Helen kind of try and put the magazine together, where some of it's really silly and some of it's really serious, but we don't take ourselves particularly serious. We take the content seriously, and that's kind of what we do with the covers. Also, the MSG one came with a little baggie of MSG, so when you got your copy in the post, this little baggie of white powder with a Pit logo on it fell out.
How did you manage that?
So
could you just do that? You can just phone up someone and say, I want a bag of MSG, stick on the front of the car.
No, what we actually did was I checked with Newsstand whether they would put them in there,
Right.
and they just charged it as an insert.
Bless
so it was
Newsstand.
like 2p, 3p, whatever it is these days. And actually what we had to do was we had to fill the baggies ourselves. So I ordered a load of little baggies and a load of tiny little pit stickers. And me, Helen and Rob all sat, it was over a lockdown. So we all sat on Zoom and we just filled them up ourselves and then posted them to Newsstand.
Wow. Wow.
It took ages.
This is the wonders of independent publishing, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was like the best joke I've ever done. And you can only do that if it's your own magazine and you're not particularly fussed about making money out of it.
Yeah. And what was the response to the MSG?
Really good.
Cool.
Really, really good. I mean, it's our most, we've reprinted it. It's the only one we've ever reprinted because it did so well. We didn't do the baggies again, so.
Oh, I was going to
if
say,
you
when
buy
you
it now, I'm really sorry you don't get one.
And did anyone use the MSG? Just
yeah, no, my mum actually. Okay. My mum, she rang me up and she was like, so I can just put it in my food? I'm like, yeah, just this little just a little baggie that came with your magazine. It'll be delicious.
Awesome, amazing. All right, thank you. Jamie, same question for you. Who are your magazines for?
So, typically our Cosmo readers are between the age of 18 and 35, but we tend to kind of focus on a woman's mindset rather than their age. But yeah, so we release 6 print covers a year, and then between those months we also release a digital cover as well, but we treat both print and digital very equally in terms of like the deliverables, with like the feature that we put online, the social bits that we put out. But yeah, we also like to, our audiences are very kind of pop culture fanatics, or very like on the internet, social media a lot, so we like to pick cover stars that are in line with what our reader wants to see, but then also make sure that our cover stars are warm and engaging, so that when we carry out our interviews, our readers feel like they're kind of involved in the conversation. It feels like a cozy chat, and our readers can get something out of it.
Right. I mean, so how challenging then is it to kind of capture that sense of warmth, you know, on a cover, to be able to sort of get that across?
I think, good question. I think mainly to do with the eye contact. We always make sure that our Cosmo covers, have eye contact. I think the middle example probably is not as warm and friendly, but I feel like the Bell Powley on the right is a good example of kind of, bringing out that positivity and, engagement. But yeah, I feel like it was more to do with the fashion, the facial expression, the movement, and also making sure it's like really like poppy and colourful as well.
Yeah. Is it safe to say that therefore it's easier to do that with the animated covers, with the living covers?
Exactly. Yeah. So with the, I'm not sure if it's going to play a game, but with the Bell Powley example, what I did here was when I was creating it, use a lot of footage from the set, and then bring that into the cover. So yeah, exactly. Belle's a beautiful example in terms of being like a proper Cosmo audience. Kind of her personality really shines through. So yeah, with using the footage, it definitely helps with creating that cover and making it more engaging for our readers.
I mean, you say you split it equally between the two.
Yeah.
What do you personally find more satisfying? Do you find like a sort of classic print cover more satisfying, or are you definitely on the, the more cutting edge side?
I think there's something really beautiful about print covers, but ultimately with these motion covers, you can get more from the cover star in terms of their character and personality. So I don't really, I probably wouldn't have an answer, but I think ultimately the motion covers allow you to see, more of our cover stars and what they're about. And also it kind of gives a shine to our our fashion and our styling. So it just brings it to life more.
Amazing, cool, thank you. And Chris.
Hello.
Who are Empire's covers for, Chris?
Film fans. these covers particularly are for our subscribers. So
Right.
probably everyone in this room knows there's a couple of legacy brands up here, and Empire's been going for a long time. But one of its real successes, and over the last couple of years, has been sort of, I suppose, harnessing the subscriber. And you can probably see I'm a big fan of real artwork, real photography. A lot of us in this room will be. I'm a huge champion of illustration. And we were able, quite some time ago, to sort of harness the experience that film fans like when they want that limited edition poster that they see drop on Instagram, and there's only 300 of them, and it's, you know, and we were able to do that, and our covers are only available for 4 weeks, and then you're on to the next cover. And I get to work with such amazing people, but the subscriber for Empire is, I would say, we're all probably in this room going, what the hell is going on newsstand, you know, but the subscriber for us is king. And the fact that they're in this group, this gang, that they can get this, that they can't get anywhere else. It's like a money can't buy a ticket type thing, but they're getting a cool piece of artwork, and they're a different audience to our newsstand audience. And as you can see, I'll probably get to have a lot of fun with that.
Is there any part of you which wishes that the subs covers could be the newsstand covers, that would be the only cover
every day, every month? I'm not sick of superheroes, but I'm sick of superheroes. Right. Yes, I do. I would love that these were there on the newsstand, but the newsstand is a much more casual buyer of Empire. What they see on the newsstand is the superhero that they recognise, the actor, if you like. But the subscriber wants something beyond that. They want something that is beyond the film poster that they've seen for months. Empire is full of film lovers. They love it. And they want that thing that they can't get anywhere else. And they want to brag about it as well. And, you know, and it's like they're in that cool gang.
Yeah.
And I kind of make those covers for them.
Right.
But like I say, get to work with some amazing artists.
Yeah. I mean, with regards to the kind of the feedback that you get from the fandom, you know, is that the sort of thing you see people bragging to each other about the cover, or what kind of response do you get really?
It depends on whether I've done it successfully and I haven't got beaten up on social media. Most of the time, there's a lot of love, you know. These are all probably our most, within the last 12 to 18 months, these have been our most popular ones. And we kind of get to make them in collaboration with the studios, but because we're so far in advance of the movies coming out, we're part of the buzz. This is part of the buzz. Right. We're part of that machine, but luckily I get to do it with some creativity. But yes, there's the subscribers love it.
Okay, cool.
It's one of the reasons to subscribe to Empire, as well as many others. Yeah. But one of the reasons.
And the brilliance of the artist is not in doubt. I mean, certainly not from me. When did you realise you had to start taking this approach then with the subs covers? What was it that kind of triggered it?
I think there was that. Anyone that's worked on magazines 12, 15 years ago, our publishers were all, we've got to do something different for the subscriber, and it was always the cover, but with no cover lines on.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't kind of doing it for us, and I was lucky enough to sort of be at the point where we could do something. My publisher allowed us to print a completely different cover for the subscriber, and it just become more and more popular, and we, to the point now where, you know, our subscriptions is doing so good, and it's part of this because you can't get this anywhere else. I wish they could get it after the next issue comes out, but you've got to get in there, you've got to subscribe to Empire, and then you get the goods.
Cool. All right, cheers, Chris. So, okay, we've gone over, like, you know, where you all are now and who you're creating these amazing covers for. But I suppose obviously the key thing to think about that we're discussing is what's next. Where's it going? So I mean, I'll just start with you, Serlina, on this question, if I may. I mean, what do you think the future holds for the magazine cover?
That's a good question. And also I was on a panel today and that asked me, why am I in print still? Why am I not just purely digital? But I think for me, I have a unique, how can I put it? I've got a unique position where there is no sort of rival, and I'm doing a magazine that is different. I'm not sure how long that's going to continue for, but I like the fact that Cosmo is doing the digital covers, and I think that's what I want to kind of go down and experiment with more, and also having the magazine on an app, and making, not allowing it just to be print, but also exploring the digital side. But the whole reason for me to do my magazine is to try and get the children off their iPads and, allowing them to also use the magazine as a tool that they're filling in lots of boxes, or there's a lot of did you know boxes inside, or they are also, not all, but they are also writing the content. So I opened a journalism school. I just had an idea. I thought I'd open a journalism school. And that went, everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But it's really good to see children during the summer holidays as well, not in front of the TV or on an iPad, but they're actually interested in becoming a journalist and an author. And they're writing, they're on the red carpet. A typical example, we got invited to the Transformers premiere, which is fantastic. The movie is brilliant. But we were told that we were not going to be interviewing. So I took my children with me, Faith, the editor-in-chief, and my son Solomon. We haven't given him a role yet, but he just loves it all. And, and he's there and he's rehearsing his lines. He's 7 and he wants to ask these questions. And we were told, you're probably not going to speak to Scarlett Johansson or Chris Hemsworth. And I was like, oh my gosh, waiting for that. And then Scarlett just walks past every outlet and comes straight to us. And then Faith's in there asking questions. I'm fiddling around trying to record. And Solomon's then asking her questions and he's getting upset but that's where I see the future for the brand. The children are literally taking over and they are the art directors. Faith will say, Mummy, why did you do that for the cover? You didn't even ask me. Who is the mother here? But yeah, she's just confident, and she's, not only she knows about art directing, but she knows about styling now. She was like, oh, I want to do this and that. I just see, as I said, for my brand, the children are taking over, and also our launch to the US is really going to help us because we've got a team out there, whereas I'm kind of learning as I go along, and I don't know everything. I'm, as I said, learning as I go along. But in the US, I've got a team that are experienced and they can see the potential of Coco, and now they're going to take it to another level. We just signed a deal with Barbie, so when we launch in February, every girl that subscribes to Coco Girl gets a free fashionista Barbie doll.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Wow, congratulations. How about you then, Brian? What do you think the future holds?
Well, you're going to get me to follow that?
Yes.
That was like one of the most noble things I've ever heard. No, because I've got a 5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and he's like, he gets the Lego magazines now. It comes with a toy, and that's the main reason why he got into it. But he's now like in the magazine, and I'm like, oh bloody hell! Like that's what I used to do, only until like a couple of years ago, and now, it's a bit harder to explain what I do to him, or like it's a shame. But I mean, what my answer would be to that was, the stuff that we do at Time Out, like. there's just stuff on there that really couldn't have like been done. That got done in the print magazine. That you just don't do anymore. Like and the way that you can like block out a feature in certain little bite-sized pieces and sort of like, you know, sort of make it interesting as you turn and stuff like that. And I do love that. But, you know, we're just moving in this direction. I think that is just sort of the way it's all going. But you do see other magazines that like now, you know, like NME does it, The Face has come back, and it's more of a kind of coffee table magazine, you know, like a quarterly sort of thing, a bigger sort of one. And the stuff that we do at Time Out, like, you know, I really think like some of the shoots that we do are on par with like all of the big glossy magazines. And, you know, I would love for that stuff to sort of be in a book that you can pick up, or like a big thick magazine or something like that. But, you know, I just think that's just the way that magazines are going, well, for covers anyway, for us. And yeah, sort of trying to use that kind of the mentality that you used to have with a magazine and sort of applying that to the web experience, you know, and you're just sort of waiting for the technology to catch up a little bit, or, you know, trying to get some, basically trying to get it all. If I keep talking, I'll criticise our website and then get in trouble with people I work for. So just leave it there. But you know what I mean.
Fair enough. Totally. Yeah. with you 100%. And Sonny, you mentioned earlier something quite interesting about the importance of LinkedIn. You mentioned about sort of making use of that. So I was just curious about that, you know, with reference to this, what the future holds. I mean, is the future on LinkedIn?
For us at the moment, yes. So yeah, I think the future for the magazine, as I say, the animation stuff is getting lots of engagement. So that's a route that we're pursuing. I'm really sort of quite excited by that. We'd like to do more. Obviously, there comes a budgetary constraint with that. You know, people got to get paid. So, and ultimately, I think for me, I think every cover we publish once a month, so that's 12 covers. There should be some kind of animation to go with it. Every issue for whatever platform you're using. So that will be the dream. That said, a lot of the stuff we do is very sensitive, and I personally, you know, if you like the Grenfell covers, I personally wouldn't want to put an animation on that. I just feel like a static image is probably more powerful. So it's a balance of working out how do we, if we're doing stuff like this, hopefully there won't be another, you know, major tragedy. How do we sort of portray this in a really sensitive manner? So I think we can have fun with certain covers, and absolutely the way to go. Others have, you know, more of a think about that. How do we approach that in a different way? I mean, our CEO has already said that we're on a journey to go digital, so I'll be handing out CVs later. So basically, I think, you know, in terms of what do we do in the future, we've got to make things scream and shout on the website. So there's got to be animation, there's got to be stuff, you know, that's kind of jumping at you, saying, look, this is what we want to really get out there, want the people to engage with that. So, I mean, these are conversations in my head, which I need to have with the editor at some point. I think, you know, I started off in print, and I was kind of always print, but now I am embracing digital more and more. And I think, you know, each has its own value, and as you put it, that, you know, you can do stuff on print that you can kind of show off stuff that you just can't. On digital that you can't do on print. So, you know, you've got these two things. I think it's a case of embracing it. How do we work it? But equally, there is budget constraints. But if a magazine goes, and perhaps that money goes to digital, hopefully. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Fair enough, thank you. And so, Holly, from your perspective then, because obviously, are you concerned about digital? Is that something, or like, you know, with my magazine, we're resolutely print only. We're just like, look, it is what it is. You know, this kind of, we're about an analog product. We're about getting away from screens, as Serlina was saying. So it's not an issue for us, but I don't know, for Pitt, should it be?
I'm coming at this from a very indie, we don't make any money, we make enough money to print our magazine side of things. So we will just continue to double down on print, and the only way you can get our covers, you can see them on Instagram, but I don't see the value for us, for animation and all of that things, just because I don't want people just to scroll past it. I want people to buy the magazine, and that's how they get the cover, like with the subscriber only stuff. And it really is, it's basically making a magazine out of that whole theory of you want to be part of our gang, and that's the only way you can get the covers, is by getting the printed magazine. Because we could put stuff, people ask us all the time, oh, do you want to can you do a digital version, can you do this? Yeah, and actually I was talking to someone from I can't remember the platform, I was talking to someone the other day, and he was saying, we'd really like to put your magazine on our app. And I was like, And he was like, our app goes into most libraries in the UK and a lot in America and a lot of American prisons. So if you're in prison, you get a subscription to this app. And actually, that's the only way that I'm going to put my magazine digital, is to people who want to go to the library, who might not be able to afford £9.50, which is quite a lot of money, or people in rehabilitation in prison. Like, food is a huge thing that brings people together and excites people who may not have the best education or anything like that, and we are talking about that kind of food. So actually, that's the only way that I would go the digital way. Yeah. But you wouldn't, just if you had that app, you wouldn't be able to get it. It would only be for those two situations. Right. So I do digital in that way, but apart from that, you have to buy it in print.
Fair enough. And Jamie, for you then, is the current model for Cosmopolitan is that the foreseeable, or is there a new dimension which you're considering?
Yeah, so because Cosmo's already print, digital, and then we have Apple News and we have Readly as well, we're already across quite a lot of sources. So in terms of like the future for where we go, I feel like maybe more digital collaboration, so possibly where we look to our kind of Gen Z audience with like TikTok, and maybe we recreate like TikTok-led covers where our audience kind of picks what happens in the covers possibly, or we see more kind of shots from like on set and they want to see like certain things. That could be really cool. Or maybe like kind of is it a QR code? QR code? Yeah, QR code like built into the image of the cover, and we get to see more content or like unlock more features. So I think, they would maybe, because we are across the board a lot already, I think we would probably tap into more of that kind of digital side. Yeah. And again, kind of going back to like connecting with our readers, I think those elements will allow our readers to kind of find out about our cover stars even more.
Right. Cool, brilliant. And finally, Mr. Lupton. Over the years, Empire's done a lot of crazy stuff on its covers. Lenticulars and free action figures and
video screens.
And video screens.
Yeah.
Smell? Have you done Scratch and Sniff? I can't remember.
Oh, I hope not.
But what's left? Which kind of sensory experience is left untapped for the Empire brand?
I don't know. I mean, everyone, this panel tonight is brilliant, and there is so much to take from all of us about how I think modern publishers should be taking a lot from this tonight, this conversation about how to move their brands forward. But I actually think we're in an era of independent magazines, the era of the doubling down in print. I do believe that. I'm lucky with Empire because print is still successful for us. People want that cover. It's like vinyl. It's having this resurgence that's you can't get it anywhere else. And I also think that for publishers that want to survive sort of in a consumer environment that isn't through subscription, it is to do stuff that is limited edition. But saying that, Empire is not non-digital, and we are also doing, we do 4 covers a month now. Subscription is only part of it. There's newsstand, but now there's 2 digital covers as well. And we are really engaging there. And it's finding those audiences in different places, because not all our audiences are in the one place. So it's like supply and demand in many respects, and we're making everyone here is going to be going, we've got to make loads of content. Yeah. But it's got to go further, it's got to go everywhere. And there's not a lot of us, and teams are smaller. And so finding those places where to reach your audience, and like I said, it's different for Empire particularly, it's different in lots of different places. But the digital covers as well, I think I don't know about anyone else, but I find designing those very freeing. But I really, really love commissioning a print cover. Really love it, and I will always cherish making print magazines.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I found, with my experience with Senet, is the strong reaction to print. And I was joking earlier about scratch and sniff, but one piece of feedback we get more than anything else is how good the magazine smells. Like, just the smell of the paper. Seriously, people. Yes, exactly. People pick it up and they just inhale it, and they're just like, this smells so good. So yeah. I mean, joking aside, I do think there is that value of the tactility, the immediate sort of sensory feedback of holding a magazine in your hand and marvelling at its beautiful cover. So we're going to go over to you guys now for some questions for these amazing, talented people. If you wouldn't mind, grab a mic when it comes your way. Here we go. We're going to rove. So if you want to put your hand up for a mic, we've got one here, and please say who you are and where you're from. Thank you. I made that mistake. I don't think it's on. There we go.
Freelance art director. My question's for Serlina. Can you tell us about the day you found out you were taking CoverGirl to America? Because that's such an incredible thing to do in literally 4 years with your brand. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can. So there was a press junket for The Little Mermaid, and I thought, right, I'm going to take my young journalists to this press junket. They're going to interview Halle Bailey and Jonah, and we had a 10-year-old makeup artist. She wasn't really a makeup artist, she just added a little bit of lip gloss to the girls' lips. And the journalists there were like 10, 11, and they really caught the attention of Halle Bailey's publicist, who is also Beyonce's publicist as well. So she was filming the girls, or she asked permission, and the parents were there and they said yes. And then she posted it on her Instagram, and that post went viral, and then there was a press outlet in the US that said that Coco is the next big thing in journalism. I didn't know what they meant by that, but I took it as a compliment. And then that got the attention of a lady called Lavelle LeVay, and she contacted me on LinkedIn, and she said, look, my name is Lavelle. I wrote Viola Davis's book, Finding Me. Viola has seen you, and you're sitting on a multi-million-pound business. Now, I'm like, really? Because I don't know if I could do this for much longer. This was a project during lockdown. But yeah, it was via LinkedIn. She contacted me via LinkedIn. We've been talking, and now, I've just got my trademark in the US for my merch deal. And it's taking a long time, but it's going to be out in the US. The press release is being worked on, and I could never have imagined this could ever happen. And just for anyone in the room, my dad always used to tell me, if you have a problem, sell the solution. There are so many different problems in the world, or different magazines that need to be done and haven't been done yet. Go and do it. I'm writing, designing, doing a lot, even the photography sometimes. But it feels amazing that I was spotted, and it was just a simple video that was seen on Instagram, and now it's going to the US. And just quickly, we had to go to the US in order for this brand to grow. Over here, it's a little bit stagnant. I mean, we're more B2B, so we're in schools. Pearson's Education publishes our magazine as well and calls it Cocoa Kids, and that's part of the Bug Club Library with a readership of 2.1 million children. But commercially, I needed to grow the brand, and the US have a much bigger audience, and they're hungry for it. So yeah, that's how that came along.
Wow. Thank you. Can we put the mic over here, please? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kat. I'm the editor of New Scientist, and I've got a question for Chris. I really like your idea of having different covers for different audiences, and 4 covers a month is a lot. But I was wondering, the covers that you presented on the slideshow were the subscriber covers, and you said that they were your most popular ones. And I was just wondering how you know that. How do you get that feedback from your subscribers as to the covers that they love, and then how does that inform what you then go on to commission?
Normally when they complain to us that they didn't get the cover, or their subscription run out, or they were like, oh my God, I did. To be honest, most of our feedback is on Twitter and evil Twitter, but mainly Instagram. So you can kind of see it there, but our new covers that we've been doing with the rest of the content that's in the magazine, it's still the same content, but we're making other covers out of it. And my brilliant photography director's here, who has been helping me push that agenda in regards to talent-led covers. The feedback's coming really from sort of social media in regards to that. But I'd hope to think my publisher also sees the feedback in subscription. And this year we launched a tiered subscription. So to pay for more, you get more of that, plus events, plus free cinema tickets. It's kind of a bit like what Serlina's doing with the Barbie, and you know, that all has to be part of the package these days. And it's not to do with that our brands aren't strong enough, that they don't need them, but it is, I think people are expecting that as part of the experience. But that means we need to deliver something that you can't get anywhere else, and I hope I do that. But yeah, 4 covers is a lot.
Hi,
Got it.
I'm Jess Hibbert from Saga Magazine. I'm the art director there. This is a question for all of you. Have short, multiple cover lines had their day?
Good question.
Yes.
I would say yes, but you know, this.
Do you mean from like a design perspective, or more to kind of represent what's happening in the magazine? I think in terms of like motion covers, possibly having just one name and one cover line is enough. But I think with our print issues, we have 6 cover lines, and I think that still works really well, because I think it kind of encapsulates what's happening in the magazine, and it's showcasing all the different kind of sectors in Cosmo that we have, like fashion, beauty, love and sex, and entertainment. So I do think it's still relevant to have cover lines.
For Pitt, yeah, no, there's no point. By the time someone's sort of engaged in the cover, we've got them. That's fine. Other magazines, yeah, I mean, I do work on other magazines that do have cover lines, and as much as I try and take them off every single issue, we do still have 3 cover lines on one of them. But Pitt, which one? History Today, you knew that. But with Pitt, I mean, the MSG cover was one big cover line, so maybe. I'll never say never. I might do a cover which is literally just loads of tiny cover lines. That would be quite fun. But yeah, Pitt, no.
I'm always trying to lose words, so for me, it's actually I'm quite lucky because do a range of covers, so it can have either just a couple of words to a headline and a stand first. So I prefer less is more. So I'm a fan of minimal words on the cover, but not always the way. So yeah, that's kind of my response to that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with everybody. I think it depends on the magazine, but I think less is more. It's all about the image and how you can really draw somebody in. And yeah, less is more, I'll just say that.
Yeah, and I think with Time Out's covers, we do have like very minimal cover lines. What we do though, I think, which is sort of like what we've tried to stick with from like the print era, is like one of the like most enjoyable moments of making a magazine and doing the cover was coming up with a cover, like a headline. And I think more and more now it's sort of I'm trying to think of people, but only problematic names are coming into my head. Let's say, oh God, someone give me a celebrity name. Beyonce, right? So it will say Beyonce, but then you have to come up with a line that just sort of fits next to it. And it often, no shade on anyone, but it just sort of ends up sort of being sort of like nothingy mumbo jumbo. Yeah. It's always like the kind of, the totemic rise of Beyonce, or like the quiet, like dignity of, and it's sort of like you run out of things to set that up, you know. So we often will put the name in the cell, and then we come up with a headline that sort of speaks to the image, sort of speaks to why they're there, and the sort of the moment that they're sort of like, you know, pushing, and that's sort of that where the fun comes in for us still. I don't know if that necessarily is for the reader or the user, or whatever you want to call them, but or the audience, but for us, that's what sort of we still want to do. And then one thing I do love about like Time Out over the years is that because we don't just always just do food, or we don't always just do, you know, music or whatever like that. Like sometimes the variety of the type of cover that you're designing would always change. And so I used to love those sort of covers that, like, if it calls for the idea of the concept, sort of like calls for just shitloads of stuff all over it, and the sort of a chaotic cover. There's some beauty in that. And I used to love, like, you know, Bloomberg Business Week have always done like amazing covers where sometimes they'll have something very minimal, but I've seen ones where they've just covered it, like, and just gone mad for it, and it's in a way it's like very ugly, but it's like but at the same time it's like absolutely amazing, you know, because they've sort of embraced how like sort of like jarring it is. So yeah, I mean, but in long story short, I think less covers are the way it's all sort of going, because yeah.
Yeah, no, this kind of music to my ears, because sort of one insight I can hopefully share is just last week we had a meeting with our distributor, and they were really kind of like, you know, it really helps if you have some cover lines, you know, it really does help. You might want to consider trying that, and in terms of helping the stores, you know, in terms of where they position you. Rather than thinking about the reader, it's sort of thinking about the people that are actually putting it on the shelves. But we're kind of like James and I, our art director, we're just instinctively resistant to it, because, you know, for us the aesthetic comes first, the spirit of the magazine comes first. But you know, it's kind of maybe if it's a genuine crossroads moment, it's something to consider. But no, this is good. I'm liking this vibe, definitely. Sorry, anyway, any more questions?
Hi, it's Tim from Bauer, so I work with Chris a little bit, but I'm quite intrigued. When we launched our iPad editions 12 years ago on Car Magazine, where I work, and Empire, I remember we went completely overboard and made every page really dynamic, and then after pretty quickly, about 6 months in, we realised we were spending so much energy making everything interactive. Do you think covers, but the same thing might happen, and just a little bit of animation? I was quite struck by the variety on screen. And if I may just latch on a secondary question, I wonder if any of you are sort of seeing some of the new technology, I suppose I'm hinting at things like AI, which make animation potentially much easier. Do you think are any of you experimenting with that? Because when you talk about costs, we all know budgets are really tight. Is that going to help you and, you know, sort of animate covers, or is it evil?
We've not experimented with AI, but it's something that I'd quite like to do. But the Cosmopolitan in the US have done an AI cover, and that was like a space-themed cover. And then they also did a fashion spread inside the magazine, which was also done through AI. So they shot the models in the outfits, but then they experimented with the background. And it just allows, I suppose, the concept to come to life more. So if, for example, if it is like a space-themed fashion shoot, then AI allows, I don't know, to bring that more to life and potentially more cost effective. I don't know. But yeah, that would be my response.
Okay. Brian, you wanted to say something? Here you go, have my mic.
I mean, we did like a lot of animation. Even when we did the print covers, we would do like the cover would go on Instagram on the Tuesday when it would come out. And we sort of forced ourselves to sort of like animate them, add a little bit of animation just to sort of, because it's on Instagram, because you can utilize that. And then after a while, sort of realized that, it was a lot of effort. It wasn't really getting that much more engagement, or like, weren't getting that much back from it. And then I started to look back at like all the previous art directors that had worked at Time Out before me, and they'd all sort of done this, sort of like where they start and they do like these animated covers, and then they sort of slow it down. And we sort of, our editor Joe is very much like, I've sort of said when we were doing digital covers, we can do like multiple covers, like a gift cover, and he's just sort of like, you just got to stand by the image that you've chosen, and you've got to sort of, that's what you've chosen for the cover. And he's a bit strict about it. And sometimes it really does call for like a bit of animation, stuff like that. So we do try it, every now and again when it calls for it. But what we found is that it like, don't try and shoehorn it in. Only do it when it sort of enhances the concept and the idea that you've already got, rather than just thinking, I can do this, so I should. And then to answer the other question about the AI thing, it's like you've seen some people who've tried it and it's sort of not quite worked, or it's a real experimental stage, isn't it, at the moment? And you kind of some of them like haven't sort of don't look that good at all, really. But one idea that we had that last year, because we do the covers for Time Out New York as well, and one of the ones we did, we potentially had a cover that we were going to do with Mariah Carey, and it was one where we were like, she will be like a nightmare to work with, like on a shoot, and it was very limited time, and we kind of got a rule where like, if you can't give us 3 or 4 hours, to do a photo shoot, we're just not going to do it, But we came up with an idea where we saw someone who'd done like this. They'd sort of done used AI to do like combined TV shows. So they had like the cast of Succession, but as if they're in a Wes Anderson movie, or like someone from Ted Lasso, but they looked like they were in The Matrix or something like that. So we were like, well, maybe we could do the Christmas cover where it would be Mariah Carey, but in New York Christmas movies. Do you know what I mean? So she could be in like, Home Alone, or I'm just saying this idea out loud now, because I never got to sort of see the light of day. But then what we did with that was like, it never actually happened. But the idea, the way it was going, was we were going to do these, but then get actual Christmas cards made, and then you could sort of vote underneath, or if you comment and stuff underneath, then you get a chance to win a signed Christmas card from Mariah Carey. So it sort of went a bit full circle, where you're embracing the AI sort of technology. You're using an idea that sort of like, you're using it because you can't have access to this person, or it would be a nightmare if you did have access to this person. And then it's still utilizing something that's like a very like real, tangible thing, where you're getting something printed and someone gets something in the post. So like, that was an idea that I wish we'd have done, and it was a shame it didn't. But like, I was quite happy with that as a concept and a way of using AI, because at the moment I'm just seeing a lot of like ways of using it that sort of like just seem a bit like they're just using it because they can, and it sort of isn't necessarily, I don't know, I don't want to slag it off, but yeah, anyway, we'll do it afterwards. Anyway.
Cheers. I can only just imagine what some publicists might think about having their clients gussied up with AI to look like other people. Chris, would AI ever enter the Empire way of doing things?
I'm not going to say no, but Hollywood has just been on strike about AI.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of just want AI to make my life easier to do stuff that I want to do, but it's never going to get away from me commissioning photographers and illustrators, and I believe in the magic that the individuals can bring. AI is not going to do that for me. But it is interesting that the journey we've all been on with digital editions. I mean, when we, like Tim said, when we started digital editions, we actually did a horizontal version of Empire and a vertical version of Empire for the iPad. And as well as doing the print mag. You're shaking your head.
You're giving me flashbacks.
Yeah,
I'm not enjoying
PTSD. But now Apple News has kind of done that, and it's taken away from it. We're not. A lot of us don't get involved in that, And in my head, that's good because that means I can be more creative doing the things that I like doing. But AI, I'm interested to see where it's going to go. But I'm with everyone else. I kind of don't see it being used in a very clever way yet, but it probably will be.
Okay. Anyone else on this subject, or should we move on to the next question? Okay. All right. Anyone else before, or do we want drinks now? Oh, here we go. It went over here. Over the other side again.
Is it on? Hi, my name's John Whitelock. I'm an art director at the River Group, and just wanted to comment really because you guys, as one of my kids reminded me the other day, Jesus, Dad, you've been doing this for 40 years, as in, isn't it time to give up? And one of the things that I think I've learned over that time, being an art director there, was if you line up 100 toothpaste, you get 100 things that brush your teeth. But if you line up 100 magazines, you get 100 personalities. And what I loved about you all tonight was, I'm not hacking on the fact I've been doing it so long, but you inspired me so much. I couldn't stop taking pictures of stuff off the screen. And you still have so much love and passion for the people that you connect with. And that cover, and I mean, that story is just like, wow. It made me so inspired, I might go off and launch another magazine myself. But I just was just a general comment just to say thanks. I just so loved tonight. It was just really inspired me, and still makes me want to go out and buy magazines.
Amazing! Wow, thank you. That feels like a wonderfully, almost too neat way to end things. It's almost like we planted you to say that. We didn't, honestly. That's completely spontaneous. All right, well, look, unless there's any other serious burning questions anyone wants to ask, because I wouldn't want anyone to get left out. No? All right, well, in that case, I think it just remains for me to say thank you. Thank you so much to our amazing panellists and for all your diverse and really interesting insights. To the BSME for putting this on, to Bankside for letting us be in here, and to all you lovely people for coming along. Thank you very much. Let's have a drink.